Hello everybody, how are you all doing today? It is now February the 13th, one day before Valentine's Day. Thanks for reminding me you're single, Philicon! No problem, buddy. No problem at all. So it's February the 13th, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. And we're going to talk about Ethereum. But before we do, make sure you guys upvote this content on Steemit if you enjoy the material, and make sure you also like, subscribe, and share it to my channel on Twitter and on YouTube. If you guys are not following me on YouTube, you have no idea what you're missing. The majority of people don't even follow me for my charts on there. They just follow me for my sense of humor because I'm kind of outrageous, and I like to make cryptocurrency very, very fun. So I'd appreciate if you guys followed me there, and I also like to call out a lot of my live positions as well. So I hope to see more of you guys join me on Twitter. So before we get started, I just want to let everybody know that this is more going to be a lesson type of video. And it's just to give you guys my thoughts, okay? I'm not here to give you guys predictions. I'm not here to call out signs. If you guys want to do that, you guys can pay me $1,000 an hour because that's what I would honestly charge for my time. So make sure you guys understand that I'm not here to give you guys any type of financial advice whatsoever. I am just here to express my thoughts through a concise manner in an educational way. So if you guys are losing money because you're listening to something I'm saying, that just is not possible to blame it on me because I'm giving you guys both bull and bear scenarios, and I'm also specifically mentioning that these are not financial advice, okay guys? You guys can take it however you want. Just make sure you don't have, like selective hearing, and make sure you understand very well that you guys are always ultimately responsible for your own decision, all right? So let's get started. Alrighty, let's get started on here. Before we get started, I'm going to explain to you guys what Elliott wave says. Elliott wave says that there are 5 impulse waves going up like this. And after 5 impulse waves, we generally like to treat our wave 1 territory. For example, for wave 4 correction, it likes to retrace to roughly this territory right here, okay? It likes to retrace to roughly this territory of wave 1 because that's where a major resistance was, and a major resistance usually ends up becoming a support. So if this bounced off of this particular range right here, great. And now what we will also assume as well is that this ABC likes to also bounce off of this support right here, right? That's pretty logical, wouldn't you think? Okay. That's pretty logical. And then after it hits the C, it likes to break out into an impulse wave up. And a lot of the times, guys, it'll actually fail. And then if it does fail, it does something called an extended correction. I'm just going to move it up so you guys can see this a little bit better here and not overlapping the charts here as much. So it'll break up to something like that, right? And this ends up becoming a 7-wave structure now called ABC with an X and then another ABC. And this is called a double Elliott wave combo, which happens all the time, guys. So this is very important to make note of that we find, okay? So that's one concept to get out of the way. And another theory that I want to emphasize again is that this usually does not retrace to the territory of wave 1, right? And another rule that I would like to emphasize in a non-leveraged market is this one right here. Wave 4 territory does not retrace heavily into wave 4 territory doesn't retrace into wave 1 territory by more than a few wicks in a heavily leveraged market. Now, these are very important concepts to understand, in my personal opinion, and they're important to understand because a lot of people have been saying things like, oh, it's retracing, etc., etc. But you guys got to really make sure you have this part down before you can comment on things like that, all right? So now we're going to draw our Elliott waves from the beginning where I'm going to chart it. This is also going to be a tutorial lesson number 23, okay? A lot of the times where I'm doing technical analysis on a coin, if I believe that it is truly going to be a good lesson that you can learn a lot from it and I can share the information that I have, then I'm also going to include it as a lesson as well. That would only make sense, right? That's what I would like to do. So we're going to talk about this wave right here first of all. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? That's a pretty good way to draw this Elliott wave right here. Now, we have to understand the characteristics of some patterns, first of all. And this is a very important pattern to understand. So if I go to a lower time frame, we'll see a lot more of the body, right? We'll see way more of the body. that would actually be in this particular wedge pattern. And because we know that this is some sort of leading first wave diagonal. Now, I want to explain to you guys, first of all, what a leading first wave diagonal is for an uptrend and a leading first wave diagonal is for a downtrend, okay? So this leading first wave diagonal is only found in the first wave position or the fifth wave position, okay? And it can also be found in the A position. That is very important to remember, okay? It can be found in the first, the fifth, and also, actually, I'm gonna write it down, guys. I'm gonna write it down for you here, okay? Leading first wave diagonal, basic characteristics, and there's a lot of them. First wave diagonal. So it can be found in first and fifth wave, which also means that it can be found in the first wave. It can be found in the first wave of subwaves too, or fifth wave of subwaves, okay? And I'm going to explain to you guys what this actually means. But first of all, let's give you guys a really good example from a basic point of a leading first wave diagonal on an uptrend, okay? And this is really important to understand because you guys need to understand that usually the first wave is the longest and usually the wave 4 will definitely overlap into the first wave. So you guys got to get it out of your head that this whole like wave 1 and 4 thing cannot overlap. I kid you guys not that the majority of my comments are all, oh, wave 1 and 4 is overlapping, wave 1 and 4 is overlapping. Trust me guys, I know what I'm doing with Elliott wave, okay? I appreciate you guys looking out for me, but I'm more so trying to help you guys understand the characteristics, and that's why I'm going to go over it in this video. I want you guys to really understand that the wave 4 overlap rule, you guys hold it too hard, really. You guys hold it way too hard, and you got to understand the sub rules that are involved in it as well, okay? And that's what we're going to go over in a lot of these videos of mine from now on. Okay, so this is the leading first wave diagonal, and they call it a leading first wave because usually at the end here, it overlaps, it's a diagonal, and it likes to break down. Some people also call it a bearish rising wedge, okay? Now, a lot of the times that can happen as well is this. The reason why it can be found in the first wave of subwaves, right, or fifth wave of subwaves as well, is because sometimes we will actually get a pattern in here like this in the first wave, just like that. So now what we're going to get is basically a first, I'm not going to draw that slanted. So let's say it looks like this. Now this one will definitely overlap, okay guys? It will absolutely overlap. And that is the characteristic right there, okay? Does that make sense so far? This one is most likely to overlap. Don't worry about it. This is the leading first wave diagonal within a first subwave of the first wave of a general leading first wave diagonal. That's where it can be found. And of course, the best ones to play, in my opinion, are these ones right here, where you can also find another, okay? So this one here, I'm saying it wrong, guys, okay? If it's found in this fifth wave, I'm saying it completely wrong, okay? They're diagonals, right? But now I'm going to go over the characteristics. What I should have said was an ending diagonal, okay? Fifth wave diagonal. And these always occur in a fifth wave as well, okay? So just make sure, I apologize for getting that part entirely wrong there. I butchered it, okay? So this is called a leading first wave diagonal, and this one over here would be called an ending fifth wave diagonal. And these ending fifth waves diagonal are certainly likely to overlap as well. That makes it into this fifth wave. So once again, leading first wave diagonal in the first subwave, and an ending fifth wave diagonal in the fifth subwave, right? And then the whole structure could make basically a leading diagonal in the first wave. Now, I'm going to talk about it in a bearish market, right? On a downtrend as well. So on a downtrend, we can get something like this. And this one here is complicated, okay? This one here is complicated because it can happen in many different ways. It can happen in the A position and the C position and the fifth wave position as well. And I'm honestly too tired to write it all down like this. So I'm just going to go over it very quickly over here. So this is clearly a leading first wave diagonal to me, right? To me, this is absolutely 5 waves coming down where I'm getting some sort of 1, 2, 3, and a 4, and a 5 touch like that. If I draw it actually right here like this, it actually makes the perfect diagonal, if you guys see, right? And that's how it's shaped in there. So if that was a first wave right there, then I'm going to call this my B point right here, okay? And now we're going to go over some characteristics of a B wave for you guys, okay? The B wave, I think, is actually really important to understand, especially. So let's go over it. So the C wave here, this is a typical zigzag pattern. A typical zigzag pattern will retrace to possibly one-to-one extension. That's generally what I target. I like the one-to-one extension. It's definitely one of my favorite ratios to be targeting right here. That sometimes we end up getting something called a truncated C position. And a truncated C position looks like this, where it falls short of the A position right over here, okay? And then sometimes we also get something like a double bottom that you guys are probably very familiar with, right? This is a double bottom. So now we're going to actually go over this right here for that wave. So if we look at right here, this definitely looks like it's a consolidation, right? So we see here that this is making the same type of pattern in here, like a flat with the C position right here, okay? So because I'm counting the waves just like this, I firmly believe, and these guys, these overlaps can happen all the time. Trust me, they're not arbitrary, okay? So now we have our A, we have our B, and we have our C position. That's pretty much nailed, right? Looks really good like this as well. Now, the way I would label this is now that ABC is done, and it probably retraced to a very respectable number. It retraced all the way to about the 0.5 Fibonacci ranges. So I think a lot of people, after counting these waves, they probably bought into a position or started accumulating right around here. So it acted as a really, really nice support range. And then surely enough, what we see is we see it attempt to break up. But of course it fails, right? It fails pretty badly. And usually when it fails, what we do is we label it like this. We'll label it like W, X, and a Y right over here. W, that's where C ended, so we call that W. That is X right there, okay? And now this is Y. And all of this made another type of ABC correction in here. And this one actually only made a three-wave flat, or sorry, a three-wave expanded one here. So take a look at here. So notice how this one's only three waves in there? Then that's fine. We find 3, 5 substructures all the time within A, B, and C. So now that we've counted this entire wave, and people probably saw this coming a mile away, because if I had traded it, I would have seen it coming a mile away for sure, right? As soon as I started counting here, like maybe 1 here, we got 2 there, we got 3 there, and as soon as this fourth one touched and it did not retrace to this region, I would have said, boom, that is where I'm going to look for an entry right around these regions when it levels off there. So that's how you could have played it back in November. So now that we've got the whole structure done now, right? We got the whole structure, W, we got our X, we have our Y. It makes a 7-wave corrective pattern. A, B, C, A, B, C. Okay, so I'm just checking the price on it very quickly as well right here. Okay, it's on a tear right now. It's still going up, Pretty good, which makes me pretty happy. Makes me happy because I want to short it, right? I already entered a position to short it earlier. I took a $140 profit, and now I'm about to short it again. I'm just waiting for the top right now because, you know, people comment things like, oh, it's not going to go down, it's not going to go down. Like, it makes me wonder, do these people actually think that it's just going to keep going up forever and ever and like never going to drop or something like that, and never people are never going to take profit? And, you know, you got to go back to your basics, right? And then understand Fibonacci and how retracement works. It's kind of like, oh, did people really think that Bitcoin was going to go up to like, you know, like $50,000 without correcting at all as well? So, you know, you got to be really, you got to understand the market and realize that what goes up really heavily, it will eventually go down as well, okay? So now we're going to count this right here. We're going to clear all of this out now that we actually have a count of it. And I'm going to count this as 1, as I mentioned earlier. This is 2, and this is 3 right here. Very extended. 4 and 5. Now people might be saying, well, why aren't you concluding this one right here as your 5? Well, if you guys notice right here, first of all, this gigantic wick, well, that falls into well into the territory already of wave 1, right? So we couldn't possibly count that, even though it's by a wick. It still doesn't make sense for us to count it like that in the least. So I've got no choice but to assume this type of counting right now, all right? And it makes a lot of sense. And let me show you guys targets especially as well. let me show you targets where if we took this as Fibonacci range 1 and 2 and 3, so here is 1, it's range 2 and 3. Well, if you guys notice, we pretty much hit target, guys. Like, nailed it. Nailed it. Right there was our target. And here's our secondary range target, slightly below 161.8. Now, what we say is that Elliott wave says that wave 3 is often the longest and never the shortest. And what we see here is the wave 3, it actually just breaks it, right? It breaks the one-to-one extension by just a slight amount. So this is absolutely the right counting. Now people will say, well, why is this wave right here higher than that wave? Well, it's higher than it because a lot of the times, or sometimes rather, what we see, oh, that's the first time I've yawned in a month. Weird. No, really, I haven't yawned in about a month. I don't really get tired. I don't ever yawn when I get tired, but that was a weird yawn. Maybe I have, but I just don't remember. But usually I don't yawn, so that was kind of weird to me. Weird. Yawning feels really weird. So we have our ABC structure like this, okay? But sometimes what we see is B can actually terminate beyond the wave 5 right here. It actually happens a lot more than you guys might think. So just keep this in mind as well, right here. Okay, so, whoops, I actually deleted it by accident again. I'm just going to draw it really quickly, okay? We're just going to go again for waves 1, right around here. Waves 2 around here, 3, 4, and 5. So I'm not sure if I remember saying this or not because I've been making this video in between here and there. We were saying that the wave 1, this acts as the resistance, right? And the wave 4 territory does not move into it. So a lot of people might be wondering, well, why don't you use that as wave 4 and then you use this right here as wave 5, right? Where it goes 3, 4, 5. Well, that doesn't make sense at all because look at the wave 4 intersecting into that massive zone. So it can't possibly be right. This has to be the right count, just based on pure deduction. Now, what we're going to talk about is this structure right here, okay? We're going to go to like a 4-hour time frame to make much more sense. Now, I'm going to assume the exact same count as Bitcoin actually, okay? I'm going to assume the same count as Bitcoin, and let's see if I can actually see it in here. This will most likely make right here, A, B, and C. And we just talked about that earlier, right? Where C is sometimes truncated, right? Or actually, sorry, right there. A, B around there, and C, right? And in here, it actually made another ABC type of corrective pattern. A, B, C, just like that. Cool, right? Let's go to a little smaller time frame even. So within this B right here, it made a 3-wave structure, A, B, C. And here, it makes some sort of 5-wave pattern in here, okay? So that's how I'm seeing this as well, that this one here, we'll say that it finished right here. It finished right here. There's a 5-wave pattern here as well, and that notes our ABC pattern that has finished. Now, the way I'm going to see it after this is that this attempts to make an impulse wave up, okay? It attempts to make an impulse wave up from here to here, and it fails. And because it fails, what we're going to call it, in hindsight, now that we see it, is WXY. It starts from here. This is our first point where W finished the ABC pattern. This is the X to denote failure, and I will call this right there Y, like that. And now I will just draw very simply my ABCs in here for you guys to see. Just, I don't know, something like this maybe, okay? Something like that. And I will also draw another ABC in here as well. Whoops, I didn't want that. Minor. There we go. And then what we're going to look for is we're going to look for an ABC in here. So this one made a 5-wave structure coming down, actually a beautiful 5 waves, 1, 2, we'll say this is around the 3 range here, 4 and 5. So we will call this just 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, like this. Looks nice, right? 5-wave structure. I'm sure we would find 5 more subwaves inside of this one as well, but I don't want to analyze it on that small of a time frame. Okay, so now all of this whole wave right here, we see this as B. We see this as B. And then here we get 5 beautiful waves coming down here as well, which now officially finishes our ABC corrective pattern with WXY, right? So that looks really, really nice, in my opinion. So now I'm just going to draw it like this. Get my waves in here. I'm using a gigantic degree because I just like using big degrees. It looks big, that's all. I'm trying to overcompensate as an Asian, so I try to draw it really big. If you guys know what I'm saying there, right? I'm just joking, guys. I've got, yeah, you guys, if you can't handle my sense of humor, guys. So I see this as ABC. Let's just draw a few more ABCs in here as well, okay? Just for the sake of having them in there, right? And we see this in here as ABC. Whoops. So we see this as a 5 wave coming down, right? For ABC, and the B's right here, and that's a C, which starts a W. And then we see ABC in here, A, B, and C. I will draw my A somewhere, B's up there somewhere, C's down there, okay? I don't know why that disappeared. My mistake. A, B, C. Oh, that's why. A, B, and C. So now what this makes is basically a 7 wave structure. Let's actually get the waves in here. Sorry, I'm just trying to annotate it properly so it makes sense to everybody. There we go. This should make a lot more sense now, right? And let's draw one really big, thick line right here. So check this out. So now I've got my beautiful 7 wave structure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Beautiful ABC. And naturally, at the end of every X, Y, Z type of correction pattern right here, okay? Or sorry, WXY, we will get an impulse wave up, right? And now that is what we want to focus on, guys. We want to focus on this right here now, okay? Now that we've confirmed that that is an actual uptrend, let's talk about what is going on here right now. That is what we are concerned about, okay? So now what we see, first of all, is the volume dying off. That's a very important distinguishment to make. Let's look on the daily chart as well now, okay? The daily chart, awesome. The volume is increasing, increasing, increasing. But a volume only yes, the volume is increasing, but it does not mean that it's going to increase forever. Think about this. Is it possible that we have increase in volume to the max already, and that the next day there will be a decrease in volume? Yes. It's only 1 hour in the day right now, okay? It's only 1 hour in the day. And now on the 4-hour chart, what we see is we see it reaching very, very oversold zones already, or overbought rather, okay? Not only that, on the RSI, what we see is it's squeezing into an ending 5th wave diagonal. Interesting, right, guys? It is absolutely squeezing, and it's trying so hard right now. Now, what we also see is that it's hovering right here. It's almost made a triple peak. 1 peak, 2 peak, 3 peak, like that. Whoops. So we're almost at the top, guys. On the 2-hour chart, probably losing strength, I'm guessing, or very soon. So take a look right here, okay? So we got to make note of this massive support line that we see on the RSI. Do you guys think that this is going to go up forever? Honestly, answer that. Do you think it's going to go up forever? And the answer is no. It's definitely not going to go up forever. It's eventually going to break out of this support range. And I think that the break is very soon. So this is actually a kind of a warning video as well for you guys, because I do believe that we're going to get to a point where it is going to come down very, very, very soon. So I'm just trying to find some of my stuff here. Give me a sec. Okay, there we go. Okay, now on the 1 hour chart, might be the one that's giving it away actually, okay? This might be the one giving it away where it's now squeezing into this point right there. Do you guys think that's going to break up or down? Let's find out in a few hours, okay? Now, it might break up, you never know, but I'm going to go over a very detailed count and show you guys what I'm seeing. I see that this has gone 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I see it as 1, 2, 3, 4, and basically a 5th wave right there already, okay? I see it on the histogram as well, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. And you guys know what this usually is right here on the histogram? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That is an ending fifth wave diagonal type of formation on histogram. So on the 45-minute chart, yeah, sure, we're upticking a little bit, but for how much longer is the question, okay? How much longer can this maintain its bullish momentum? We see this histogram as well negatively ticking down already and getting a series of a lower high. On the 30-minute chart as well, yep, we're finding support around this region right here, but another question is for how much longer as well. If we look on the 30-minute chart, we actually see signs of bearish diverging already, right? We see signs of bearish diverging. And now we're going to do a detailed count on Elliott wave on here. So do you guys remember the characteristics of like a leading first wave diagonal or a channel? Well, that's pretty much it right here, right? Where it ends up making 5 waves up in there. So this one right here, automatically, I would call this my first wave right here. This would be my wave 1 pretty much, the whole thing, okay? This would be my wave 2. This would be my wave 3. This would be my wave 4, which does not retrace into that territory right there, which actually makes me very happy. And there's no other way to count it right now, okay? There's no other way to count this whatsoever. So now we look at here and we say, hey, is this a valid count? Hey, it looks very symmetric to me. Looks pretty proportional as well. What type of ratio did this hit? Did it hit more than a 1-to-1? And what we see easily is, yes, it hit well more than a 1-to-1 ratio, which is a beautiful thing, right? Awesome, because it retraced to about 1-to-1 ratio right there. Actually, sorry, I did it wrong. Right here. This would have been our first target right there. So you guys would have basically taken your Fibonacci ranges to see how bullish it was. You would have realized, wow, 382, that's a really bullish sign. You would have bought it on the breakout right here, around there, and you would have targeted your Fibonacci extension, okay? You would have targeted your Fibonacci extension of 1-to-1. And you could have also targeted the 161.8 here as well. That's a pretty good one. Now, we want to confirm, what wave count are we at? There seems to be a lot of disagreement right now. Every time I post something on Twitter, you know, there's a lot of disagreement, right? So I wanted to clarify up as well. So what we see is this is wave 1 down there, okay? That's clearly wave 2 somewhere. Clearly 3, 4, and 5 is somewhere up there. Now, if there was 5 somewhere up there, how do we check it? How do we check to see where the top is? Okay, I'll show you guys now that we confirmed this is the 5th wave. What we do is we take 1, 2, and we say 3, 4, and we say, hey, is there a 5th one up there somewhere right now? Okay, well, if there's a 5th one, maybe there's well, right here, everyone probably thought that this one was it, but not me. Not me, because I automatically assumed an ending diagonal like that. 1, 2, 3, okay, 4, and 5, just like this. And now what we get is this beautiful structure. This whole thing right here is one structure, okay? One entire structure going up. And it made a channel, right, at first. It made a channel, right? You guys see this channel? And the channel usually ends up peaking on the 3rd one. Usually it hits it, but it didn't hit it here. And then what happens after is that the 5th wave ends up making a diagonal, okay? A 5th wave ends up making a diagonal, just like that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're just doing our last one. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I've officially completed the Elliott wave count here. So I'm led to believe, based on all the indicators, that a correction is going to come very soon. Okay? And this channel wants to break eventually. It's not going to stay bullish forever, guys. I mean, nothing will ever stay bullish forever, right? We have to acknowledge the volume that's been slowly diminishing right there. It's really low volume, we have to admit. We also have to respect the fact that whatever goes up very fast will eventually come down as well. So this is more like a lesson video and to warn people as well that, yes, guys, I know you want your tokens, okay? I know you want your tokens. It's really important that you guys get your free airdrops, but also be forewarned that all the retracements are according to plan. Targets have been hit as well, okay? Targets have been hit as well. Everything retraced a very respectable amount, and it's a very healthy uptrend. And I cannot help but think that very, very soon, it's going to end up downticking very hard. As soon as we, I don't know, maybe breach our critical point right there, around $35 is when I think it might start to come down. How far down do I think it's going to go? Well, let's just assume worst case where it hits 35.50, okay? I think that it will go down to roughly this region first over here, $28. And then the next region that it could go down to, depending on how weak the support is, it can go down to $24.17. Sorry, I don't know if I said 24 or 27 earlier, but I meant 27, 26, and about 24.17. So those are my correction targets where I'll be looking to enter again when this finishes its correction. And right there. And another thing I want to make note of is this. If you guys actually draw your Fibonacci for all of it right here, okay, draw your Fib for all of it right here, up to wave 5 only, what you'll see is that this goes right into the golden pocket around the 618 Fibonacci level and the 0.65 Fibonacci level as well for the golden pocket. So do you guys agree with my count? What do you think? Do you guys think this is just going to skyrocket to freedom after doing a 5 Elliott wave count? Maybe. Maybe it'll make a very, very, very extended 5th wave. But if it doesn't make a very extended 5th wave, we're now reaching a critical resistance point, which is the trendline support. So it's very safe as well for us to deduce that it's going to go down, right? So I can't help but think that right now, that the targets are roughly $27.26 and $27.26 and $24.71. So these are my quick thoughts on this right now, guys. And I really hope that it plays out because I'm definitely going to want to short it very soon. So I hope you guys enjoyed this technical analysis. Don't get me wrong, guys. It might go up a little bit more, but the only question is how much more can it actually go? And that's very important to distinguish. So this is not a prediction video in terms of giving you guys buy and sell signals. This is always from a very educational perspective where my goal is to always help you guys grow as a trader. So I do think that the top is very, very close, guys. Extremely close. I don't know when exactly, but I will be looking for signs, more signs of bearish divergence, okay? Be looking for a lot more signs of bearish divergence, and hopefully it'll come very soon, right around this trend line. So we even see the final 5th wave being completed right here now. We see 1, 2, 3, 4, and the final 5th wave right around under $35 is going to be completed. And once it completes, guys, I don't think that it's going to be able to stay bullish much longer because all healthy uptrends require a correction. And now we're seeing it in this lower range right here, right? We're seeing it hover in this upper range of this channel. And I do believe it's just a matter of time before it comes down, I think. So we'll see how it goes, guys. Good luck, everybody. I hope that it works out very well for you, regardless of what you decide to do. This is not financial advice in any way. It's just to give you guys my perspective and insight on Ethereum Classic. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please upvote it on Steemit. And also make sure you like, subscribe, and share the content as well on social media like YouTube and on Twitter. Bye now.